Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
They're here.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show. We're live on the 25th of May 2015. It's just after 8 o'clock, so at least we're hitting the time. Now, co-hosts are like buses. You wait for one and two come along at once. This week I am joined by the guy who has set up an Indiegogo campaign. He has nearly hit his target so quickly that he will have enough funds to be able to fund the brand new Marvel film in a few years' time and shoot it. It's Mr. Stuart Bannerman.
Only if it's made for a Blair Witch Project budget. I am near target. I'm 47%. I've just gone up like £10. And I've got like 56 days left, but I haven't raised a fortune, so give me more donations. Check out From Page to Screen. It's a pinned tweet at the top of my profile, and I'm going to beg and plead and harass everybody for the next 50 odd days. Thank you, Stu, for that wonderful introduction.
I know, but compared to last week, it's just monumental increase because you were at 0 and then all of a sudden at 47% in 1 week. That's impressive.
235 quid I've raised.
Yep, and he will be buying us drinks at the end of the show.
I will.
And I'm also joined by the person who some say that if you feed him after midnight, he mutates into a giant hamster, and that for the last few weeks he hasn't been absent from the show. He has just been locked in a cabin in the woods fighting off a horde of mutant Care Bears. We know him as, yep, he's back, Mr. Andrew Hazel.
Yay, I'm back. I've been away for personal issues, but I am back and hopefully back for good, so you're stuck with me again now.
Any Care Bears, or was that something that Stu just made up?
There were bears involved, yes.
Wow.
I think we'll keep it like that, considering that we are a PG rated show, so we'll just leave it at there.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
No cabin in the woods though.
No. Oh, you disappoint me on that front. I spent all that time concocting that sort of good intro, and you say there was no cabin in the woods.
I did wonder where you were going with the bus analogy, but I have to admit that was a good one.
I thought he was calling me a big fat red blimp. What?
No, that would be me.
Oh.
No, that will be Baymax a little bit later on in the Blu-ray and DVD section, but we'll get onto that in a moment. See, segue. On this week's show, we're looking at 3 films in the cinema section. They are
Tomorrowland, The World Beyond. Go on, you did say I was hosting the cinema section, so last week I was conscious that I'd not speak, and then Stu would be there. Silence for like 2 seconds, and I thought, I'm supposed to speak, so this week I'm jumping the gun. Back to you, Andy. So other than Tomorrowland, The World Beyond, what else you got?
Yeah, we also got the latest in the list of probably not ever going to end list of remakes getting made. We've got Poltergeist, the new version of Poltergeist getting it, and we've also got a small Iranian vampire movie. Vampire? What's wrong with me today? See, 5 seconds already, I'm back, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
I'm surprised that you know it's from Iran. That surprised me.
Yeah. I was from Iran because I was actually going to try and see it at the weekend. I didn't have time, and I honestly was, but I was like, okay, yeah, it's one I heard about, and I thought I kind of want to see it, but I didn't have a chance.
All I'll give you a hint is that you will not like it, but we'll wait until we get onto my review of that.
I do like vampire films. In fact, even I'll say it now. One of my TV movies of the week is a vampire film.
Yeah, we'll get onto that very later on in the show. Before that, though, in the Blu-ray and DVD section of the show, we're looking at 4 films, including the fact that Stuart is going to fully handle one of them. And
We've got the Disney animation sort of taking steps into the world of superheroes with Big Hero 6. We've got the drama, which I think is very underrated film, Wild. Stuart will be handling the review of the British film Testament of Youth. And we've also got a is it a foreign film? I wasn't sure if it was, but a film Spring. It's not a foreign film, no.
No, but it's a horror film. So
horror film, yeah.
Yeah, a horror film in spring. And on top of that, we have our usual things, the Blu-ray and DVD top 10, TV Movie of the Week, Movies of the Week, the UK Box Office top 10. But let's kick things off with some movie news.
Shall I do mine first?
Why not?
Yeah, okay. Two pieces of news I've got. First off is regarding Mad Max director George Miller. He's announced plans for further movies in the series. Last weekend, when Mad Max Fury Road was released, he did post on Twitter saying, "Hello Twitter, thanks to all the kind words written and said about the film. We had a lot of fun making it, and there's more Max to come." It was later confirmed in a Q&A session online where he confirmed that the title for the next film would be Mad Max The Wasteland. There has been no official confirmation yet whether or not this will happen, but given the movie's above average performance at the box office, both in the US and internationally, for what is an R-rated movie in the US, it seems that it's maybe picking up momentum, that this may actually, thankfully, happen.
That's because the film is awesome. Everybody's got to go and watch Mad Max on the big screen. You're going to come out with your eyes bleeding. It's amazing.
Yeah, you're not allowed to comment on the film just yet, Andrew, because we'll get into that in the box office top 10. Gives you a chance to elaborate on that. But have you heard about what's happening with the Blu-ray release as well? That there's going to be a black and white version of the film on it.
Oh. Couldn't you have that anyway by just turning your settings down on the television?
You could, but instead of messing around with your settings on your TV, there is going to be a black and white version of the film as well.
Interesting. Okay, what's your thoughts on that one? Why would be my question. I mean, I bet it looks cool, but what's the reason behind that? It's what Miller wanted. It was an idea that came from Miller, and it supposedly adds impact to the film, so there is going to be a black and white one. The only reason why I'm interested to know what Andrew thinks is because you have a problem with black and white films.
Yeah, I just struggle to watch black and white. I don't hate it. I genuinely, it's genuinely like a thing, like an eye thing. I watch black and white, and it's just my eyes are looking for colour. It's not what I see. I don't see black and white, so I have a problem with it.
Is this just like new black and white films like Schindler's List and Clerks, or is this like old crumbly films from the 60s?
I mean, I have Clerks in my collection, and I watch it, but I've watched it once since I got it, and I haven't been able to go back and watch it because every time I've tried watching it again, I honestly, it's like my eyes just start watering. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but I can't watch black and white for a very long time. It just seems to. It's like my eyes can't focus.
If they decided to bring out colorized versions of the old Dracula movies, would you be the one that purchased them?
I'd see them. I don't know that I'd purchase them because it's one of those things that it'd be like it's an old film converted. I mean, you see the conversion techniques they do on some black and white films to put them into color, and it looks horrendous. It really does look horrendous.
That's why it was really difficult for me to actually persuade you to watch Michelle Hazanavicius' The Artist, which I absolutely loved that film in 2012.
And the thing is, I actually have it. I have the Blu-ray. I've still never watched it yet.
Which is a shame because you're missing out on an absolutely amazing movie. But it's interesting that you have that problem with black and white movies, which is something that you don't hear a lot of. And I have a problem with watching 3D movies when I went to see Poltergeist. When I went to see Poltergeist at the weekend, but I'll get properly into it when I review the film. But when I was watching the movie, there was, in my view anyway, there was a lot of ghosting. So that really does put me off in the film. Is it very similar to you when you're watching black and white movies, or is it just that your eyes cannot concentrate properly on them?
No, it's just that, especially if I'm watching it, and if I'm watching at home and you've got your television there and you have something around you even that's a bright colour, my eyes, it's like the colour is just staring at me, and I honestly, even if I'm watching something even in a dark cinema, in the cinema, there was something I had which had black and white sequences. What was it? Kill Bill had the black and white sequences on it, and I can remember those sequences just it being hard, especially as the camera was moving around a lot in those sequences. My eyes struggle to focus and keep up with the film.
The only way your eyes would actually be able to fixate on a proper black and white movie is if you were locked into a dark room and all there was there is a seat, the walls are completely black, everything goes completely black, and it's just the screen in front of you.
That would help, but even then it's just because you don't see in black and white. I don't see in black and white, so my eyes don't handle black and white. It's the thing of it's like you say with 3D, you struggle with 3D because you don't see 3D in that way. And I mean, it's the same as watching anything like. I mean, it reminds me of first time I saw IMAX. I was in the seats right down near the front. It was the first, yeah. And it honestly, it felt so weird. It was the Dark Knight opening 10 minutes, which I had seen already because they released it online with the bank robbery sequence. But that whole 10 minutes, I literally, my eyes could not adjust to it. It took 10 minutes for my eyes to adjust before I could finally sit and watch the rest of the film. And it's a similar experience to that. It's just my eyes for some reason, and I don't have any problem with my vision. My vision is actually good. I don't need glasses or anything like that. Surprisingly, a number of things I've sat and watched things, but for some reason, I just cannot focus on black and white footage. Black and white pictures don't bother me. Black and white footage does. I don't know.
So your eyes does a Wizard of Oz thing. It transcends from black and white into colour. You just need to be a big, massive house dropped on you or something like that.
Funnily enough, saying that, the opening sequence of not Wizard of Oz, what was it? Oz the Great and Powerful.
Yeah.
The opening sequence of that was in black and white didn't bother me. So,
oh well. Next piece of news then.
The other piece of news I've got is regarding the sequel to Tom Cruise's Jack Reacher. It's gaining momentum at Paramount. It's now got a director in the role of Edward Zwick. I'm not sure.
Zwick.
Yeah, Zwick. It's going to be based on another one of the novels. There are something like 15 or 16 novels. This one will be based on Never Go Back, the last one being based on One Shot. And the director is now in place to direct the movie, which will be going ahead so it can get everything sorted out for a release next year. If no one is aware of who Edward Zwick is, it's going to be a repairing of Cruise and Zwick, who worked together on the movie The Last Samurai in 2003, and he's a excellent director, which I'm sure Stuart will agree with me on certain points, given the list of films he's done like Blood Diamond, Defiance, Courage Under Fire, and in particular one of my favourites, Glory.
Yes.
Which Stuart though? There are two of us.
We both think Edward Zwick's awesome,
and
we're both really happy about Jack Reacher too.
There is no plural for Stuart, is there? It's other than
Stuarts. It's a flock of Stuarts, I believe.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a rampaging herd of them. One Stu, the other one Stuart. I'll be the Stu and he can be the Stuart, so it's just more handier for the show because it's going to be confusing to a lot of people. But I'm sort of like, I thought Jack Reacher, the first one, was average at best. I think it's probably that was directed at Stuart rather than me.
I love Jack Reacher. I want to see a film that's got Jack Reacher in it, that's got the Equalizer played by Denzel Washington and Brian Mills from the Taken movie, and they all sort of fight each other. I want to watch that movie.
I don't. That sounds like a nightmare.
The thing I really like about the first Jack Reacher, which was directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who is going to be, I think, executive producer on the next one. But I love the matter-of-fact direction that he has, and everything is set up there cleverly. And if you go back and watch it again and again, there are things in you see the little flashbacks to things that happen and stuff, and it's very cleverly done. In the flashbacks are what people are thinking. It's never actually what happened. So it gives you a peek into what someone is thinking, which I think is very cleverly done, and it kind of intentionally misleads you. And I like that about it. I thought it was very, very well handled, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to what he does with the next Mission Impossible film, because he's directed that for July. I think it's July it comes out.
31st,
Currently July, unless they've put it forward to like a month ago, because they keep moving the release date around.
Which I didn't actually jot this down as a piece of news because it was completely inconsequential, but the next one has been officially announced. The next Mission Impossible one to end off Tom Cruise's double trilogy.
Is it going to be called Big Hero Mission Impossible 6?
That's bad if it is.
Oh.
I actually hope though after that they don't just drop it and go with 6. I hope they keep doing subtitles, because I put not subtitle film, I mean subtitles in a title.
Ghost Protocol.
Ghost Protocol. This one's Rogue Nation, and I like the idea of that. I prefer that than it's like Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's just lazy. Come up with something else, So
like the Marvel Universe.
Like the Marvel Universe, because if you just take out the Iron Man series, is there any of the other Marvel Universe films where they've had a sequel got a number next to them?
Yeah, that's true. I like that. It's just it makes it more. You get more of an identity with the film before you've even seen it.
And then a lot of people have that thing in their mind where they think to themselves, oh, I don't have actually watched the first film to get to know what the second film is going to be about. So in a way, because if you look at the Mission Impossible films, even though they've got most of the same characters from the previous film, they still feel like separate movies, separate entities from the previous one. So...
But I was just going to say, we said about this and we agreed about this, that the last Mission Impossible thing, as film, as much as it did have as well returning characters from at least the previous one before it, it was the first one to make it actually feel like a team movie and not just run Jack run, sort of run Tom run sort of movie. It actually was about a team and them working together, and everyone had their part and had the sort of an equal, sort of integral part of the film.
Yeah. My news then, just before we came on air, a piece of breaking news is director Cary Fukunaga has stepped down as the director of the It remake. It's down to budgeting reasons, because the budget, which is now handled by New Line, because it was originally going to be done by Warner Brothers, has been cut for the project, and Fukunaga was not happy about it. He had a meeting with New Line, and he's decided to step away from the project.
Interesting, given that New Line kind of existed, then was bought and was collapsed, and then been reopened, and have made a lot of money off of the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit films. So I don't see why they'd have a problem with budget on a film.
I would love to know what the budget is of it, because how much does a clown suit cost? That's all I'm asking. But is it still going to be two films? Because there was rumours it was going to be split at one point.
It depends on who they get as the new director now.
If they get Peter Jackson in and make
it
a trilogy.
It'll be like 7 of them.
There'll be 2 trilogies.
Yep.
Other news, Deadline are reporting that actress of the moment, Alicia Vikander, we'll get onto one of her films a little bit later on, is in talks for 2 upcoming hotly anticipated projects. The Swedish actress is in negotiations to star in both Ubisoft's big screen adaptation of the video game Assassin's Creed and to star in the 5th Bourne film.
She's kind of become the hot property at the moment, hasn't she? I mean, she's now become the new Jessica
Chastain.
Yeah, I mean, Jessica Chastain was the thing. She was in everything, and then now she's not in everything, but she's still in a lot of things. But now Alicia Vikander is all of a sudden. I mean, at one point you had her in. She was in 3 films that came out in the cinema in a month, and she was in 2 films that came out the same week on DVD in that month as well. So, she's in Testament of Youth, which we're looking at this week. She's in Ex Machina, which we're looking at next week. So she's all over the place, to be honest. I'm not sure when the DVD releases of it, but we had as well. She was in the cinema release. You had the Son of a Gun. She's in that as well, isn't she?
Yeah. So she's a really good actress, though, Alicia Vikander. You see a lot of her in Ex Machina, but she is a really good actress, and I like what she brings to characters. Other news. Now, this is not actually news per se, but I wrote it down because I found it really interesting. But Chris Pratt has taken to Facebook to apologise for anything he has said in the past and in the future as well. In his Facebook post, he said, "I want to make a heartfelt apology for whatever it is I end up accidentally seeing during the forthcoming Jurassic World press tour." The actor wrote, "I hope you understand it was never my intention to offend anyone, and I am truly sorry. I swear I'm the nicest guy in the world. When I do potentially commit the offensive act for which I am now apologising, you must understand I will likely have been tired and exhausted when I potentially said that thing I will have had said that will have had crossed the line."
I think you should apologise for that Facebook posting, if I'm being honest. What's all that about? Now, either he's recorded some of his press tour, in which case he's upset somebody, a la Joss Whedon or whatever, or he's purposely going to say something, in which case, can you actually apologise for something you're purposely going to say in the near future? I don't think you can.
Well, he doesn't want to do a Jeremy Renner because look what happened with him on the Age of Ultron press tour. What he was saying about Black Widow's character. So he definitely doesn't want to do that. And I think Chris Pratt, he is a very intelligent guy, even though he looks a bit dorky at times. And so he's just sort of like stepping in the front there and just saying, by the way, I will probably slip up during the press tour of this, and probably in the future as well. So I might as well say sorry now.
Do we think that Chris Pratt is probably going to refer to female dinosaurs as monsters or something like that, do you think?
I think actually it's probably been a misfire of what he's actually intended, but I think he's been intending it as a kind of a dig at everyone in the press that had a go at Jeremy Renner for things. I think he's kind of proactively and having a dig at them, saying, "Come on, that was a bit ridiculous. If you want to do that, come at me." And I think it's that, but I don't know that it quite sort of worked how he intended it.
To be honest, I wouldn't actually like to go up against him because he seems like one of these people who's got a sarcastic answer for anything. So he will instantly shoot you down no matter what you say to him. Reminds me of somebody.
Doesn't it, just Andy? Yeah, doesn't it remind you of somebody that we know, Andy? Yes.
Yeah, I wonder who that could be. Next news story. Despite the second film not being released yet, Lionsgate have announced that a third Now You See Me film is in the works. The announcement was made after Lionsgate revealed that they want to concentrate on more franchises.
Okay. Now You See Me still.
But Lionsgate concentrating on franchises. Look how much they milked the Saw series.
And still got the last part of Hunger Games to come as well, which the last one being split into two unnecessarily.
Yeah, they might split the last half into, again, spin-offs. They're talking about spin-offs, or just to steal Stu's thunder. How much can they milk things?
Yeah, the TV series.
They were planning an 8th Saw film. Their sister company did the Twilight movies as well.
There's a Saw TV series next.
Don't even joke about that, Andy. Don't even. No.
Yeah, because Netflix will buy it. No offense to Netflix, they have some fantastic stuff out there, but if they see a series that they're going to bring to light, they'll buy it and put it on there. Or Amazon Instant Prime, considering that they get very little.
I did that. I sent Netflix a tweet saying I've got an idea for a series, and they just sent me a check for $50,000. I didn't even tell them what the idea was. They want to buy it. It's amazing.
Yeah. So, last piece of news: Paramount has announced that Walking Dead writer Robert Kirkman has joined the writing staff on the Transformers universe. The prominent writer will join Akiva Goldsman to expand the Transformers universe, create new films and ideas.
So that's the way of basically throwing more money at it, just throwing more writers at it.
New ideas.
What they're doing now, but if you look at it this way, they can bring all the writers in the world. Michael Bay's still attached at this minute. He's just going to go, I don't like those ideas, so let's do mine. Let's just have a big close-up of a woman's butt and a Pepsi can. And there you go, that's your film.
I was just going to say that. The person need to throw it is a new director.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just imagine
I've got a bit of
the writing stuff.
I've got a bit of news. Game of Thrones, no spoilers, so nobody panic. Did you see the uproar that everybody went on Game of Thrones last week because they didn't? They're all complaining about a scene that wasn't even on the screen, and I don't get it. I really don't get it. They're all going absolutely mental. People are boycotting the show. They call it too far. It's gone too far. It's shown too much. Didn't show anything. The scene they were complaining about, you didn't even see it. What is it with these people? Why?
It was more the subject than the actual scene, but I think.
Yeah, but it's Game of Thrones. Yeah. You think, really? All the other stuff that's happened in that series, that didn't bother you?
It's like it's because of the character it happened to. They're like, oh no, you can't do it to that character.
It's like, don't do that. They're okay. They don't deserve brutality or whatever. No. It's crazy. Absolutely mental.
I haven't a clue what the hell you're talking about. I know about the scene that in question, but I've never watched Game of Thrones in Series 2, so...
To sort of summarise it without spoilers, Stu, it's a bit like people going absolutely berserk because of the ear-cutting scene in Reservoir Dogs that you don't actually see anyway. Or the brutal stabbing in Psycho, which you don't actually see either. It's kind of even less you don't see it than that. Yeah,
all I know, it involves a character who they build up so much so that she's supposed to be really strong and then sort of like take away that strength.
Oh yeah, they do.
That's all I know. I'm guessing that's probably the uproar with it rather than this full scene in question, the fact that they've built up the strength of a very vulnerable character or a character who didn't have anything like that, and then all of a sudden with one fell swoop they've completely obliterated that, which I find that annoying in TV series and movies when they do that to a character, manage to give them so much inner strength to them, and then all of a sudden with one stupid scene which a writer thought, this is a good idea, will just obliterate that. So,
the thing is though, you can see it coming. because of the whole characters, you go, it's not a good idea, and then sure enough, you go, yep, told you. So it's yeah. So it was well written. As somebody's complaining about something they didn't actually see in the first place. Crazy.
Oh well. UK box office top 10 now. Both of you feel free to comment on any of the films in this chart. So, number 10 is The Age of Adeline.
I don't think any of us have seen this yet. And the thing is, obviously, I've not been here for the last couple of weeks. There are films that I have seen, films I haven't seen, and some films I've been trying to catch up on. And during the week, I kind of had the choice to try and catch up on one, either this or Big Game, which didn't even get into the top 10. It went in number 13.
No, it was in the top 10.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
A couple of weeks ago. But yes.
But it didn't even hang around very much, and it's now at 13. And I think I picked the wrong one, because that was just a boring film. This I haven't seen, but I do want to see it. And from what I hear, it's a very Marmite film, shall we put it? You either love it or you hate it. But I'm looking forward to it, because I like the idea of it, and it's an intriguing idea. So I'm looking forward to trying to see it this week.
Yeah, the concept behind the film involving somebody who's 27 permanently is an interesting idea, but like you says, from what of a lot of critics, it's dividing people, whether it be really good or really bad. So I'm always intrigued in those kind of films, if what side of the fence you fall on. Normally, with those kind of movies, I'm in the middle. I'm looking at it going, yeah, it was bad, but not as bad as people make it out to be, like I did with Home. At number 9 is Fast and Furious 7.
Do you have anything more to say on that?
I am creating a special award for the end of the year podcast thing. Studio who best handled a disaster. And that goes to Universal for the way they handled the whole Paul Walker thing. The film might have its little tweaks and issues, but you know what? When your main actor dies during the production, you're going to end up with an imperfect film, so to speak. But the way that Universal have dealt with the whole Paul Walker thing has just been really, really good. And that the music video is still at number 1, isn't it? It's been like number 1 for 6. Is it?
Yeah, there's a horrible song about a cheerleader which has been number 1 for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So
yeah, must be a different music channel I watch then, because that's still at number 1 on the music channel I watch.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't even know what that was. That was not the one from Fast and Furious 7.
I don't even think that was the cheerleader one either.
That is my very loud, very annoying ringtone.
Really, I would never describe it. Really annoying.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Very professional. One quick thing I have to say about Fast and Furious 7 is that the 8th one, Paul Walker's brother, is going to be in it.
Yeah, presumably not playing Paul Walker's role. They're going to have him play someone else. But
he's going to play The Rock.
Yeah, and The Rock is going to be in it as well, and he's interested in doing a Hobbs spin-off. But that was in the news last week.
I can actually see that. He's a strong enough character as well.
And number 8 is Unfriended.
I know you've seen this, but has Stuart seen this? Has from Page to Screen Stuart seen this?
Nope.
No, you haven't. I'm curious actually, because what you think of it, because obviously you do your horror podcast. I've actually seen this, considering I don't really go see horror, but I did end up going to see this with my other half. And I enjoyed it. I thought it's more the idea of it and what they did with it that I like than the actual film itself. I do hate this whole thing of, though, it's got the same problem of horror films where they kind of telegraph that something bad is coming by having it go really quiet, but then having the bass come up to such a degree that you actually think that you're in a film that comes out next week and there's an earthquake going on. But it's a nice idea what they did with it. I don't know that I think it's that great an idea and great done, but I was impressed, more than I was annoyed with it or disappointed.
I was impressed that Stu liked it, so just don't knock it, Andy. Stu liked a movie. Just let us have it. Let us have this one thing.
I actually liked it, but one thing, just want to ask you, Andy, considering that you have seen it, and few people who I've spoke to have seen the movie, which is slightly annoying, because there is one scene, all I'll see, it involves a blender.
Yep.
Did that scene actually shock anybody in the cinema when you went to see it? Because when I went to see it, the cinema was really badly behaved, but when that scene happened, they were just completely quiet, in shock, because they weren't expecting it.
That actually, no, it was kind of the opposite in that there was people, I mean, in our screen, for the majority, people behaved themselves. there was still a little element that didn't. But that scene was one of those ones where it happened, and then afterwards everyone has that kind of giggle moment where they're like, "Oh my god," shock.
It's quite brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was the moment that was actually the big shocker moment, and he had that afterwards. That you get a big fright in a film, and everyone has that shock reaction of that they laugh because it's the way they deal with it. And it got that, not a big outburst laugh, but there's that nervous little, and everyone's kind of looking at each other in a kind of like, oh my god, that can't believe that. And that was impressive, because I've only ever been in one other film where it got that reaction. I've actually only ever been in a film where it actually got a scream from the audience, and that was What Lies Beneath. And it wasn't even a ghosty bit or anything. It was just a thing that it was a shot that the way it was done and it was lit and everything that happened, and the audience jumped and screamed, and it was a similar kind of thing to that. People were just not expecting it. People got a shock, and then they had that adrenaline rush afterwards of, that kind of thing.
Shows you how little Andrew sees of horror at the cinema, then.
It does. Watch Martyrs, Andy. Watch Martyrs.
Oh, God, no. At number 7, a movie that's been in the top 10 for 9 weeks. It's Home.
I'm just going to say that it's my least favourite of all of the DreamWorks animation films, because you've got the Shrek films, you've got the Kung Fu Panda films, the How to Train Your Dragon films, you've even got things like Megamind, which are films that I all love and I enjoy, and they're brilliant, they make me laugh and everything. This just, I sat there for, I can't remember how long it is, an hour and a half, 2 hours, I don't think it's quite 2 hours, but it is a film that it just didn't have the laughs in it that it should have.
No, I think it's worse than the last 2 Shrek films. I didn't like the last 2 Shrek films, but I'm the one who's slightly defending the movie. Slightly. At number 6 is A Royal Night Out.
I haven't seen this one yet, and I do want to see it. But from what I hear, it's doing well because largely of a lot of senior citizens going to see it, not because of general audience going. It's more the mature audience that are going and seeing it, and I don't know if they're loving it or not, but it's getting good enough word of mouth that people are still going to it. I mean, it's doing okay.
Yeah, it had a small release and then it expanded, and so that's why it had an increase in takings of 3,165%. So it's interesting when you look at the top 10 and that happens. The only time I've seen something more than that this year was in America with one film where it expanded from a couple of screens to more than 100 screens, and it had an increase of over 19,000%. So it's always interesting when a movie does that, but I've not yet seen it myself. And number 5 is Far From the Madding Crowd,
which I really did enjoy. And it's not typically the kind of thing that I would enjoy, but it's a drama set in the 1800s. It's got great performances from Matthias Schoenaerts and from Carey Mulligan, among other people, Michael Sheen as well. And it's a really good period drama that it's not your typical period drama, because it's all about a woman who is striking out sort of her own independence and stuff, which is the kind of thing you don't get from that period. It's a very rare thing, and I thought it's handled really well. It's the pacing on it's really nice, and the performances, as I say, are really good.
Anything to add, Stuart?
Nothing whatsoever. Not seen that.
And number 4 is Spooks: The Greater Good.
I'll be interested to see if Stuart's seen this or not, because I saw this. No. I actually saw this a couple of weeks before it came out, and I gotta say I was a fan of the series. I did watch the series, all 10 seasons of it, and I got into it. I enjoyed this, but it struggles to make that leap from the small screen to the big screen. There are some elements of it that it feels as if it could go bigger, as if it could do more. It's not bad. It's not disappointing. It is engrossing, and it does what it says in the box. I just wanted a little bit more from it.
Now, Stu asked me last week, do you need to have, or do you benefit from having watched all the episodes of the TV show?
You don't have to. I mean, you do benefit from it because you have the main character, well, not the main character, but one of the characters who does make the transition from the screen. There are a few, but the big character that transfers is the character of Harry Pierce, who is the lead of MI5, the boss of MI5, who was in it from the very first. He was actually the only person who I can think of who's been in the entire run of the series, as people came in and left and other ones came in and took their roles. And he's if you watch the series and you watch this, you will get that more out of it because you see the continuation of the story with him. You also see a couple other characters that come back from the series, and it's nice to see them as well. It's nice to see them come back, the thing is, it does centre around a new character with Kit
Harington.
Yes, Kit Harington. Thank you. Who's come in as a new character, and he doesn't have any connection to the series other than supposedly things that happened in his past, which you learn about as you're watching it. But it's perfectly fine for that. It kind of is one of those things that you don't have to have seen the series, but it's more fun and you get more emotionally out of it, I think, if you have.
Does anybody go up to him and go, "You know nothing, agent, whatever," or do they not say that to Kit Harington? No.
Nothing like that, but maybe similarly, kind of.
Little bit of a Game of Thrones in joke for anybody who's like, "What? That makes no sense." But yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah, all I was going to ask is, do you think the inclusion of Kit Harington was deliberate because they were trying to get the audience who have not seen the TV series? That they're bringing a character who was not involved with the TV series just so it's slightly more easier for people who have not seen the TV series to watch the film.
Probably. I think as well the fact is that he does look like Jon Snow throughout the entire thing because he's got the same hair and beard and everything. Probably because it was, I guess, filmed at the same time or just in between filming seasons of Game of Thrones that he couldn't change his look. That there is that kind of thing. Oh, look, it's Jon Snow in MI5.
No, he just jumped off the set of Pompeii to actually be in Spooks. And number 3 is...
Spy Game of Thrones. I need to coin that title. Anyway, number 3. Go on, Stu.
Avengers Age of Ultron.
Do we need to say anything more about this other than that it has had a mixed reaction? I enjoyed it, but I had expectations going in. It was just going to be more of the same. A lot of people, I think, have had higher expectations and so been disappointed.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people who goes into superhero movies and has high expectations of it because I know I'm going to be disappointed anyway. So I went into the film with okay expectations and actually it didn't meet them. To be honest, it annoyed me because I love Joss Whedon's work, yet this doesn't feel like a Joss Whedon film. It just doesn't have his hands on it. It feels like he was there, but he was bossed around by the Marvel heads just to so that and say, will you get out the door quick enough so we can get the Russo brothers who directed the last Captain America movie to do the Infinity War double bill? So
I don't know. I think there's still a lot there that we haven't heard and we're probably never going to find out. What happened on behind the scenes with that, the politics and such of it.
We'll see in his director's cut when it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD at the end of the year, which is probably going to be like 4 hours long or something.
We should also mention as well,
Yep.
because of the connection with Marvel, we should mention, I'm not sure exact date, I think it is July or June or July upcoming, but we should also go back because there's a special version of X-Men Days of Future Past. It's not really Marvel, but it's a Marvel X-Men and everything. That's coming out later as well in the year. So it's showing a trend of that we're getting comic book films that are having alternate versions, which are now getting released on home release.
Yeah, the Rogue edition with 20 extra minutes of footage featuring Rogue in it. Yeah, I'm interested in that one. Number 2, now I'll just leave this to both of you two because I rambled on about this movie a little bit too much last week, considering that I absolutely loved it and it's my movie of the year so far. It's a new entry for Mad Max Fury Road.
That's awesome. Go on, Andy. What did you think of Mad Max Fury Road?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It is one of those films that it reminds you what cinema has been missing for the last 20 years, or even 30 years, because that's how long it's been since the last one. And I'm not saying that just because of the fact of that, it's another Mad Max film. I'm saying it because of the fact of that it is a classically done action film, lots of practical effects and only special effects when they're needed, not when they want to do something and just go, we'll do it with effects because it's cheaper, it's simpler, it's easier. They put together something special here and did a fantastic film, and it's not even as if it's got a great plot or story, but it takes what it needs and then runs with it and does a fantastic job. I also was listening to this week I've been listening to the score by Tom Holkenborg, who is formerly known as Junkie XL. He's been doing some film scores for a while. I mean, the last big one I know he did was the first Divergent film, and his music's been fine. In this, his music is fantastic. It's so bombastic and suits the action and the loudness of the film and everything, and it's brilliant. It's honestly just incredible.
some people have been complaining that the film doesn't have much of a storyline. So what? It doesn't need one, does it? When you can have an action film this entertaining that doesn't really have a storyline, keep doing it, because don't bog it down with a storyline. It's amazing. It's really good.
Kind of the whole point of it. It doesn't have a storyline because of the fact that it's just the characters trying to survive this onslaught that's coming. It's kind of like if you had a film that was set in a fort somewhere and people are trying to just hold off against enemies attacking it. There's not much of a story there. That's the basic setup of it. But you'd have a 2-hour film based on it. As long as you keep the momentum and the action going, you'd have a really good, thrilling, engaging film. And that's what they've got here with Mad Max, except it's just on the road through the majority of the film. So that's all they've done. That's all they needed to do. It's a success for that reason.
Sure is. It's amazing. Bring on Mad Max: The Wasteland. That's all I say.
Yeah, I, like I said, it's my movie of the year, surprisingly, considering that it's a year that's featured Whiplash and a Studio Ghibli movie. There's another one to come. Sorry, I have to mention my quarter of Ghibli films each week. But it has been a year of that, and yet something like this, which doesn't appeal to me at all. I'm not an action movie fan at all, and I even have to make it my movie of the year so far, because it is just such... I completely agree with you. It's what cinema has been missing over the last 10 years, in my opinion. We needed something where it is pure popcorn entertainment. And a lot of these movies that try to follow that blueprint fail, because they concentrate so much so on the popcorn part, they don't make it entertaining. So this one, it manages to meld both together in such a movie that even the 3D didn't bother me at all. And the 3D didn't hurt my eyes, surprisingly.
Whiplash is about a guy learning to play the drums. Mad Max, Tom Hardy strapped to the front of a car. And they actually strapped him to the front of a car.
Yeah, so...
I have to say, as I say, I can't emphasise how much the soundtrack to this is so good, because as well, I normally do a thing at the end of the year, because I listen to a lot of film soundtracks, and we normally do at the end of the year our roundup, and I do a selection of film soundtracks from the year. And up to now, they've been a bit lackluster. They have been very, very basic and not really anything about them. In fact, the best one up until now had been for the Wachowskis' film Jupiter Ascending, which was... the film was not the best, and the soundtrack, as often happens a lot of the time, the soundtrack outdid the film. But in this case, you've got a great film, and the soundtrack only adds to it being a great soundtrack as well. And I think it's actually my favourite soundtrack so far of the year too.
Yeah, Giacchino, who did the soundtrack to Jupiter Ascending, he's doing it, the one for Jurassic World. And I've just heard a couple of tracks from Jurassic World, and it's got Giacchino's sort of like twist on the Jurassic World feel, on the Jurassic Park soundtrack. So if you take that and you think about what Giacchino's done in the past, with his work, it's got that kind of twist to it, and it's a really interesting one. So I'm slightly eager to hear what you think of it when you listen to that soundtrack.
Yeah, we were talking about it beforehand, and I think I say Giacchino. I don't know if that's right, because I think I heard
it's Giacchino.
I'm sure I heard J.J. Abrams say Giacchino in an interview somewhere, but that could be just him. But I think that he's actually the best choice for it if they're not going to get John Williams back, who did the first two, because he. You listen to his films, his music on films. He is the one who is the most like John Williams. If you hear, there are similarities there that he tutored under him for a while, or he had someone who's the same teacher or something at some point, and there is that. He's if there was no one else to do music that John Williams did, he would be the choice, because he's the only one who can do something that sounds kind of similar.
Yeah, let's speed on to the number one film. It's a brand new entry for Pitch Perfect 2.
This one is all you lads, because I haven't had a chance to see it yet.
Yep, Stuart, it's all you.
It ain't going to be me ever. It's made a lot of money. Everybody's like, it's made more money than Mad Max. Well, that's because it's a lower certificate, children. That's why it's made more money, because all the kids have been dragging their parents to go and see it. Didn't watch the first one, although I've been told the first one's very, very good. Bye, Stu. And I haven't watched the second one. So, Stu, did you watch Pitch Perfect 2, Fury Dancing?
Yeah, I did, because I reviewed it last week. I thought the first one is not very good. It's good. It has problems, but it's good. It's entertaining enough. This one, it just has problems, and it's nowhere near as entertaining as it thinks it is. It goes for the stereotypical thing with the German Das Sound Machine, who were industrial kind of music that they do. They take pop and rock songs from nowadays and had the supposed German beat to it, going up against the Bellas because they have been stripped of their title and now they have to try and get it back by winning the World Championship. Yeah, this is for fans of Glee. Unlike the first one, you didn't have to like Glee. Even if you hated Glee, you still would have found enough to like of the first one because the characters were entertaining enough. This one is so much like Glee that it would make people who hate Glee throw up. Because it tries too hard to be funny. It takes the character of Fat Amy and sort of like centralizes her, when in fact you need her on the outskirts of things just every now and again doing her sarcastic quips. You don't need her to be the shining light of the movie. It's not like Bridesmaids. You don't need the fat character to be the comedy relief of the movie. How dumb do you expect your audience to be if that's where you're going down? And so it's nowhere near as good as the first one. The musical numbers is nowhere near as good as handled as the first one as well. It's just a movie that I'm hoping disappears quickly from the top 10. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen.
Less than Pitch Perfect, let's call it that from now on.
I do want to ask you about the whole thing of being the Das Sound Machine, the German team and everything that's in it. Is there at any point a David Hasselhoff joke?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, wow. There is a David Hasselhoff joke in it. So yes, they do mention that David Hasselhoff is the biggest artist in Germany. So yep, David Hasselhoff. It's sort of like a stereotypical tick box thing.
Yeah,
they follow it completely by the number. So it's just annoying that a movie has to sink down to the lowest common denominator to try and make itself funny.
And isn't like Rebel Wilson 47 years old or something now playing?
Sort of. There's a guy in it who's the spitting image of Jack Black, and he just an impression of Jack Black down to a T. He sounds like a younger version of him. So they've even gone that far to try and get a Jack Black impersonator into the movie because they thought we're not going to get him anyway. So why don't we just get this stupid fat kid who sounds like him to do that? And that's the love story between Rebel Wilson's character as well. It's just okay, fine, yeah, no. Right, onto reviews. Poltergeist 3D, or as it's known as also just Poltergeist. It's a remake of my first horror film that I've ever seen. So that original was released in 1982, directed by Tobe Hooper, written and produced by Steven Spielberg. It's a classic. It still holds up today, to be honest. Because it's a weird horror film. It's not a very straightforward horror film. It's a very weird horror film. And in this one, it's pretty much a like-for-like remake, but instead of using the same character names as the original, they decided to change it up a little bit. And so it centres around a family who's headed up by Sam Rockwell and Rosemary DeWitt. They move into a house because he's lost his job. She's a writer. She's not very successful at all. They need to try and move into a place where they can keep on for a small budget. And so they move into this place, but it holds a dark secret. On one night, the little girl, who's played by Kendi Clements, who plays Madison, she decides to sneak down to the television set, and again, for like remake scene, she sort of like gets introduced into the spirits of the house. Here's a clip.
Afraid? Yes? But how will you get here?
Maddie, what's going on?
They're coming.
Who is? Who is coming?
And then all of a sudden strange things occur and they decide to need the help from a guy who's famous on television for going into houses and releasing demons and things like that. In this case, it's a poltergeist, and it's played by Jared Harris. Now, the film, like I said, is a complete like-for-like remake. Instead, what they've done is they've taken the technology and boosted it forward. They've brought it into the 21st century with mobile phones. There's a lot of product placement in this. You know, it's normally the case with these kind of films. So, iPhones, Apple MacBooks, they've got the state-of-the-art televisions, and it's just about a family trying to rescue their daughter. But in this case, it's a movie that's a 15 that should have easily been a 12A, because there's little of any scares whatsoever in the movie. There is, if you watch the original Poltergeist, it shocked a lot of people because in America it was rated PG, and so over here we did get a 15 rated certificate, but people were wondering why it got that certificate considering the kind of film it is. With this one, they've sort of like gone back and regressed a lot and took away a lot of the scares and inventiveness of the original one, and so it doesn't have the heart of the original one. It doesn't have the tension. It doesn't have the brilliant thoughts, the brilliant ideas of the original one. It just feels like another one of those typical lazy remakes that, as Andrew alluded to at the start of the show, we're completely sick of.
I wasn't going to say anything on this because I don't watch horror films. I still haven't seen the original one because ghost stuff freaks me out, and I don't like horror films. So I've never seen.
Oh, you'll love the original. The original. Just think Spielberg. If you can handle Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, you'll be fine with Poltergeist. The original one.
The sequence at the end of Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's not even Indiana Jones. It's just Raiders of the Lost Ark. The sequence at the end still freaks me out.
Yeah, wow. But this one, there is nothing that freaks you out. If you look on the one of the posters of it, you've got that picture of that really scary clown with the horrible teeth and the face, and that's just a doll in one sequence of the movie, which, again, is not very scary at all. So if you're coulrophobic, you'll just look at the clown and sort of like laugh. And it has none of the scares. The drill scene... I was thinking when I was watching this, this is the part where it is going to be rated 15. And so you see the drill coming through the wall when he's trying to actually get it, and then nothing happens with it. It just ends there. And so the only sort of like scene where they go to a little bit of inventiveness is when they send a drone, which the youngest son gets as a present of his father because his father has decided to treat them even though they've got no money. And it's got this drone where he flies it through the ether, the nether part where they're trying to rescue the young daughter, and you see these demons in there. But even that reminded me of Insidious. So it has no original ideas in the film at all, whereas the original 1982 was steeped in originality. I know that the gap is huge and you could come up with more original films then, but at least come up with something for this if you're trying to bring it up to date.
Andy has never seen either Poltergeist. If he was going to sit down and watch one of them, which one would he think was the better film after watching it? The original one, or would it seem a little bit dated, or the new one?
No. The original. That's the thing with 80s movies. People think that they feel a bit dated, but when you watch them back, they don't, because they concentrate a lot more on practical effects and things like that. You look at The Thing, and you can still watch it now and be aghast by what they do in that movie. You even look at Gizmo and the Gremlins, and the way the Gremlins move around, and you're still impressed with what they've done that, because it's a lot of time and effort to do that. In movies these days, it's a lot of people sitting behind computers and doing a lot of characters where you would normally find in a video game. So
Andy, have you seen The Terminator?
Oh,
the
of
original
course, I've
one.
seen The Terminator,
Do
yeah.
you know the scene when he's plucking his eye out in the mirror and you can obviously see it's like a mechanical head, it's not a real Arnie one?
No, it's still Terminator.
There's certain scenes in Poltergeist that look a bit like that. A little bit.
It's like Terminator is actually... I'm one of those people who actually thinks Terminator is better than Terminator 2.
Oh, I do. I agree.
and I've yet to see. My other half has yet to see any of the Terminator films. She's never seen the first one. And so recently we were in a shop and I picked up the Blu-ray because I'm like, we are watching this at some point. I'm like, I've got Terminator 2 already on Blu-ray. Yeah, and I'm like, we're watching not necessarily 3 or 4, but we are watching Terminator 1 and 2 at some point. She is going to be like made to sit through them. And the thing is, she likes horror films, but she's never seen Terminator. And I'm not saying it's horror, but there are horror elements to Terminator.
Oh, definitely the first one. What is this Terminator 3 and 4 you speak of? I have no idea what you're talking about.
But 3 was better than we had any right to, but
yeah,
that's a discussion for in about 6 weeks on the show.
Yeah, all I'll say with Poltergeist 3D is just avoid it. Go back and watch the original Poltergeist because it's just much more better than this one. Head and shoulders above it. And I was skeptical when I went in to see the film. When I came out of it, I was bored. I was just bored. The film wasn't interesting at all. Right, Tomorrowland.
Yeah, or as it's been retitled here, Tomorrowland: A World Beyond. It's directed by Brad Bird, who is one of my favourite recent directors. It is based on a script by him, and we also have Damon Lindelof involved, which I'll come back to in a little while. It is a Disney film which has got all about these characters who we're introduced to in an odd way through sort of flashback. It starts off. The main character of the film is the character of Casey, played by Britt Robertson even. She is at the start of the film the daughter of a man who used to be an engineer for NASA. He's now one of the people who no longer, after NASA being downsized and such, is involved in the demolition of one of the platforms, which she regularly goes to sabotage the machines at night so that this can't happen. She sort of thinks, this has to be stopped. There are the future things people need to be going to space and such. These are great things that we did, but now we don't do that anymore. We just sort of ignore the bad. We go on about things, and everything is kind of going to the bad place. She is sort of dealing with all that when all of a sudden at one point she ends up getting arrested when she's breaking into the site, gets put in jail, gets released on the night, and finds in amongst all of her collection this pin which gives her sort of these weird visions when she touches it. Here's a clip.
Newton?
That's not mine.
What's not yours?
The pen. I've never... No way.
I am very upset with you.
I get it, you're angry. I understand, but have you ever seen this before? Does it look weird? Don't touch it!
Why are you yelling at me?
Not while you're driving, Dad. It's dangerous. Just pull over. Okay.
I swear to God, Case, if you're on drugs...
I'm not on drugs. All will be explained as soon as you touch this pen. What is... It's not working? You're not saying this?
Casey, stop it!
So what you have there is that she's at one point in the car being driven home by her dad, and she gives him the pin. Doesn't work for him. She touches it though and finds herself sort of hovering above this kind of this alternate reality where she's hovering above a cornfield, and it's every time she touches it, she sees this, and it doesn't. No one else seems to have this effect, and it works with. She then finds herself being led through this pin and events to find Frank Walker, played by George Clooney, who is a former sort of child genius. He is someone who has been sort of banished from Tomorrowland, which it turns out is a sort of another world in this alternate reality, which she's able to see. He then finds out sort of that she can see this, and it decides to help her sort of get to Tomorrowland because there is a reason for that, which I don't want to go into any further than that because it will be sort of plot spoilers. But the thing I will say about this is that it's a film that it has at its central core a very strong idea, I think, and a strong idea that I think is something that is typical Disney, and I think it's a typical Disney thing that it's good that it's trying to do it because it's a kind of a thing that kids should see to have this idea put in their head. And it's the whole thing of the looking to the future, wanting it to be good and things, because it's kind of it has a good statement about the thing of the, you know, in the 60s and such, when there was this thing in the world and people had world's fairs and stuff like that, and everything was looking great. People were looking at going into space, and you know, the space race was on for going to the moon, and people were reaching far and wide. And now it's become a thing of that everything's getting worse. It's not getting better. It's getting worse and worse. And it has good commentary and a good way of sort of commenting on that and showing that. So I thought it was very well handled, but I will say this: I like Brad Bird as director. I think he's a very good visual storyteller. I've said this before about the last Mission Impossible film, which he directed. There's an entire sequence of about 5 or 10 minutes, which stood out to me as being really good because it got no dialogue and it's just entirely shown by the direction, and the camera is your storyteller. And he's very good at doing that with things. There are some shots in this and some scenes in this which do the same thing. There's not dialogue, but it does things with the camera that it's very cleverly done, and you know where you are just by what the camera is doing. But the problem that it does have, and I heard another review during the weekend that kind of hit this square on the head, is that it's largely written by Damon Lindelof. If you don't recognise that name, he's the man who was largely responsible for things like the TV series Lost. And last, the big thing he was involved in was Prometheus and the 2 Star Trek reboot films. And the problem with Damon Lindelof is that he's a great writer if you're setting up something, but he has absolutely no idea how to actually resolve something. He's a great mystery writer, but he has no way of actually setting up things so that they have an ending, and they have a way of something that makes sense, something that comes together in the end, and you go, okay, so I get why that was happening. And this is another prime example of problems with that. I think that he does a good job of setting it up. I think that this is probably the better film that deals with resolving anything that he set up, probably because Brad Bird was involved in it, and so was there was someone else involved on writing the film who was Jeff Jensen, who I don't recognise. But I think that it's a good film, but it doesn't exactly. It's like if you imagine it as being a nail on a piece of wood, half stuck out, and you're trying to hammer it down. Tomorrowland would be that person who's trying to hit it with a hammer, and they hit around it about 12 times before they finally hit the hammer nail on the head, and then they don't manage to hit it all the way in. That would be Tomorrowland.
I agree with you. I watched the film and I was thinking, well, the film itself has been getting its reviews across the board, to be honest. There has been some places which have really loved the film. There's been some places where they think it's a bit lackluster. I'm sort of like sandwiched in the middle. I think the film is entertaining enough, and it has its moments. It's down to what you said. It's down to how Brad Bird directs, because he's a very interesting director. He lets the scene play out rather than messing around with it. And so the scenes which involve some of the character interactions and the way scenes flow is really well handled. I agree with you again with the writing. It just seems to be lacking some punch, some effectiveness, and it decides to roll in a political element near the end of the film, which reeks of Lindelof, because he just doesn't. He seems to be one of those writers who doesn't know how to finish something. And so he just comes with the first thing that pops into his mind and then just adds it there. And my guess is the last 15 minutes just popped into his mind at the last moment when he needed something there which was missing, and he decided to put it there. It feels like it belongs to something else rather than to Tomorrowland. And so while the film is entertaining enough, it's not this brilliant spectacle that few people are making it out to be.
No, I mean, I agree with that. And the thing is, I did really enjoy it. I had fun with it. At no point did I get bored. At no point did I think, oh, this is ridiculous. I did find it felt a bit manipulative towards the end, especially in particular with a couple of characters. But I thought, you know what, at the end I walked out, I was like, you know what, I enjoyed it, I liked it. I would happily sit through it again. There's lots of things in there that I recognise, I noticed the first time round, that if I was to see the film again, I'd go, they'd be like, oh, that's that. And it sets up things visually by Brad Bird directing it rather than it being, script points. But it is a flawed movie. It's a very flawed movie, but it's not a failure as it could be. It's actually, I think, and it is one of those films, I think, as I say, I think it's a film that it's important for kids to see, because it is one of these ones that is about, a sort of a kind of, in a way, it could be an inspiring film.
It's a movie as well that tries to tip its hat off to loads of other different films. So if you look at the World's Fair bit, you've got the scene from the first Captain America film, which sort of like came into my mind when you saw some of the World's Fair stuff there.
That's because there was a real World's Fair, and that's actually
I know
about
the World's Fair stuff, but it's sort of like if you look throughout the film, there is indications with like Rocket Man as well, where you see the kid with the rocket patch on for the first time. There's a scene which involves when you see her getting into Tomorrowland and she's exploring it for the first time. You see this guy in a sort of like a big kind of outfit, which reminded me a lot of Baymax from Big Hero 6. There's another scene which involves a showdown in this store where you've got a lot of Star Wars references in there. So it references a lot of films. And again, I think that's down to Lindelof's laziness, because he decides to push that into the movie because, he doesn't know how to write around that stuff.
Yeah, so, I agree. But I would say definitely out of all of the Lindelof stuff, it is the least Lindelof of all the things he's been involved with.
Do you have any intentions of seeing it, Stuart?
I really want to watch it. I'm not a Lindelof fan, although I really like Prometheus and Lost up until the ending. Never mind, enough said about that ending. I'll probably watch it on Blu-ray when it hits. But it looks quite interesting. I got a trailer for it when I saw Mad Max Fury Road, which is awesome, by the way, in case I didn't say that before. And the trailer does look really, really good. So I want to watch it at some point.
Yeah, there's one thing actually I would say is that there were 3 trailers for this film. There was one which was the teaser, typical teaser thing you get, which isn't very long, doesn't have much. Second trailer is fantastic because it kind of doesn't give away anything, but gives you some great visuals, and you kind of go wow, and you're like, it intrigues you. And then the third trailer, which was released a week before the film came out, just goes and spoils lots of stuff.
That's the one I saw. It just seemed to be like a 20-minute trailer where it just like shows you every little highlight of the whole thing. Yeah, that's the one I saw.
That doesn't do it any favours for me selling it. But I mean, if you want to see, if you've not seen anything about this film, anyone listening's not seen anything about this film, and they're like, "Is it any good?" And maybe I'll have a look. Find trailer 2. Don't see trailer 3. Maybe see trailer 1, but trailer 2 is the one that is like, it has that Disney magical quality to it.
Right, final film in the cinema section. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. It's an Iranian film. It's not a directorial debut by Anna Lily Amirpour, but it is one which has actually got a lot of people's attention. She's now going to direct a cannibal romantic drama starring Jim Carrey, of all people, which is an interesting casting to have, and Jason Momoa, which again is an interesting one to have in your film. And this one, it centres around this sort of like wasteland of a city called Bad City, and it's populated with lots of things that you would normally expect in rundown cities. Houses which are very small. You've got oil fields, which is making the place not seem interesting to live in at all. You've got drugs that's going on. You've got violence that's going on. And it centres around a character who goes to a party one night and he ends up stumbling home drunk. He decides to dress up as a vampire, and he runs into this Iranian girl on the streets who wears this black cloak and realises that she might actually be a real vampire and establishes a relationship with her. Now, the thing with The Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, there is no clip because it is an Iranian film, so it's not in English. It's an interesting vampire film. It's sort of like the opposite of a vampire film, even though it's got vampiric undertones to it. It's got that there as its main theme, but it never fully goes with that main theme. It's more centered around the people who live in this place of Bad City and how their lives live, and especially the main lead male character who's got money troubles. His father is sort of like downtrodden, and maybe something might be happening to him in his mental state as well. And so it's him trying to come to terms with that while sort of like having a basic life of his own. And the introduction of this vampiric character to it adds that malevolent feel underneath it, because she has this ethereal kind of quality to her. She's able to manipulate people and change them in a way without it feeling like a vampire is actually doing that. So it's an interesting film. It's an interesting take on a vampire film. It's a black and white movie, so that's the reason why I don't see you watching it, Andy, because I knew you had problems with black and white films, and so that's the part which I know you'll have a problem with the film. It's not the context of the film itself, because if you look at movies like Byzantium and Only Lovers Left Alive, the films like that where they've got the vampire stuff there, but it's not specifically about vampires. It's the fact that this movie's black and white is the part that'll put you off the movie. But it's an interesting, different take on a vampire genre. Simple as that. That's it for the cinema section of the show. I hate these long pauses of silence because I'm waiting for somebody to go, oh, okay, then fine, I'll be interested in watching that, or something you're expecting.
Before we go then, let me ask you something, because it links in with one of my TV movies of the week, which we'll get to in the DVD section, but is Byzantium, which is a British film, which is kind of the British, I say, anti-vampire film. It's a vampire film without sort of the vampire. And this sounds as if it may be kind of Iran's sort of version of that.
It's sort of. I think the director, I think she's a fan of this kind of thing, and so she's trying to do a different take on it. And so it's not, like I said, specifically about vampires. I'm going to be getting onto another film a little bit later on, which has got a horror undertone to it as well, but it's not specifically about that thing. This is exactly the same. So it's for fans who were not majorly into horror movies, because there isn't that gory aspect that you would expect with a vampire movie of people getting their throat ripped out or things like that, the mountains and buckets of blood. It is in black and white as well. So people, I think, who will be more interested in this movie are people who are interested in indie films and art movies, because it's a very art kind of film.
Cool.
I'm going to call it Let the Iran One In, just as a retitling thing there.
Are you here this week just to give us puns?
Pretty much.
Now you see the reason why he's probably not welcome back on the show.
What?
I know that was harsh of me, but we'll go to a break, and after that, it's a break for one of your shows as well. And we'll be back with the home release section.
There was a real sense of you were doing something wrong, but that did give it that feeling of excitement.
When the reveal of the film happens, that's when it just becomes absurd.
And the atmosphere and just the sense you get whenever you go into it is undeniable.
It did absolutely zero for me, which could be for the hype.
What we've just discussed there is just scratching the surface on it.
Hi, I'm Eric England, the director of Contracted, and you're listening to From Page to Screen, the horror show.
And that's back again. You're saying you're doing one of those next Sunday, so it'll be sometime next week after that?
Yes.
Yep. Available on FromPageToScreen.com?
Available everywhere. iTunes, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Android, everywhere. Yep.
Yeah. We're back with this week's Monday Movie Show, and meanwhile, though, doing the DVD and Blu-ray section and the home releases, which we'll be going through looking at these new movies.
Big Hero 6.
Yeah. See, this is what Andy comes back. The whole thing just gets derailed. Wild, and we have got Testament of Youth. And what's the other one, Stu? There's a fourth one. There we go.
Spring. Yeah, I was just trying to mix things up a little bit, and I was hoping you would follow suit, but then nope, nobody is in the same mindset as me.
Not telling you who this is directed at. It might be directed at both of you. You had one job, Stuart. One job.
Yes, Stuart.
Mr. Miller. Yep.
Before that, though, let's go straight into this week's DVD and Blu-ray top 10, starting at number 10. Now, guys, just jump in with if either of you seen these or not. Number 10 is Unbroken.
Yeah, I was actually going to be, again, you had one job, Andrew. You had one job. I was going to read them out so you could comment on them, considering that you've not been here for the last few weeks.
Okay,
so
then,
it gives you a chance.
Stuart, what's at number 10?
Would you be surprised to hear that it could be Angelina Jolie's film Unbroken?
Wow, is it? Wow.
Yeah, fantastic and cheesy.
Not cheesy, but I do think fantastic. I did actually really enjoy this. I got into it when I saw it at the cinema, and I thought it was very well done, very well acted. I love that the pacing of it, that it takes its time. There's a whole segment sort of in the middle where they're stuck out at sea in a raft, and I thought it was good for what it did with that, because as much as there would have been other films like this that take too long doing that and drag things out, I thought this was quite well paced. And another one is it's the three films that there were for Jack Is it Jack
O'Connell?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is Jack O'Connell. You had this. You had
Startup.
Startup, yeah, which was also brilliant, and also 71. Yeah, this is this is probably the more mainstream one of all three of them. But that's not taking anything away from it, because it is, I think, well done, well directed, and I think that it's a solid film.
Yeah, I think Startup was the best out of three that he did. But yeah, have you seen this, Stuart?
I haven't. I need to watch it because I'm flag waving for the British films, but I haven't seen Unbroken yet. Sorry, guys.
At number 9, The Imitation Game.
Have you seen this one, Stuart? You must have seen this
one.
Oh,
I got a grilling last week from Steve.
Yes.
It's like, you support British films and you haven't seen The Imitation Game. You haven't seen The Theory of Everything. What is the matter with you? I thought you watched British films. Swiftly move it on. Back to you guys.
I actually really like this. I thought that it was good. I thought that it's one of those films where it does depend on the performance largely, and that's to say that the writing of it could have been better. I think that if it hadn't been Benedict Cumberbatch doing such a great performance as he did, it wouldn't have been such a good film. So it's a little weak script wise. Not to say that it's a bad script, it's just it's weaker than it could have been, but I really like it. I just felt it's another one of those things where it kind of wants to be about Alan Turing, but it doesn't do that. It's kind of like the whole thing of you had Hitchcock was about Hitchcock, but only so much as that it was about the making of Psycho, whereas instead of rather his whole life, this is very much the same, and that it's about Alan Turing, but only so much as that it's mostly about the creation of the machine to break the Enigma code. So it should have been, I think, more broader than that.
I don't agree with you in there, because I do think it is, considering that it is centred around Alan Turing in 3 periods of his life. When he was young, at school, and him coming to terms with the fact that he might be homosexual, and what would happen if his secret was revealed. Him, when he is actually being the cocky person that he is to try and crack the Enigma code, in his relationship with the characters around him, and again, trying to hide the secret. And then him in the more present day of the film anyway, trying to tell the story about what's happened to the police officer who's unravelling what went on with the supposed break-in at his apartment. And so I think it centres around much more on Alan Turing than what Hitchcock did with Alfred Hitchcock. So it is a mixture of, I think.
I just think it's very much the central of the three time points. The central one around the whole thing of breaking the Enigma code is the one where it focuses on largely, and it's kind of been sold as that as well. And I think it's the mix of the two. I think it spends too much time on that to be an Alan Turing film. I think it's more about Enigma than it is about him.
I think it's enough about all 3 sections of him, but we could be here a while anyway. So, and number 8 is Annie.
Yeah, I complete another one of these remakes which is just unnecessary, unwanted, and it is this. I mean, if you had the 2 Annies at the orphanage, the older one would get taken. This one just get left there.
Yeah, I completely. This is a horrible remake. It's really bad. It's not very entertaining at all. Number 7, Exodus: Gods and Kings,
which is a complete misfire for Ridley Scott. Who would think in the time when you have within a couple of years of each other, you have this and you have Noah, which is just completely bonkers out there, that this would be worse of the 2. It's just, there's points in it where it's ridiculous, it's far too long, the pacing on it is all over the place. I honestly thought a couple of points, when is this going to end? And it's just horribly paced, horribly put together, and I honestly don't know what Ridley Scott was thinking. It's nice to see, because he's good at making these kind of things that question about religion, and even though I don't know if he's a religious person or not, I don't think he is, but it's just a case of the Bible doesn't necessarily make for a good film.
Any thoughts, Stuart?
We had this discussion last week, didn't we? We were on about Ridley Scott. I miss really, really good Ridley Scott films, and I quite like Prometheus, but it just seems ages since I saw a really, really good Ridley Scott film.
I mean, it's talking about religion ones and Ridley Scott. I mean, Kingdom of Heaven, The director's cut is fantastic, but not the theatrical, not the god awful theatrical cut. But I mean, that's the last time I can think that Ridley Scott did anything that was religious wise, and it was a really good film. This is just not that.
What's really annoying as well is this is the one that he decides to dedicate to his brother. Exactly. It's the one that is very much an extended Boy George music video. So what a horrible thing to have probably on your gravestone. It's just the film that my brother did for me was Exodus. Lovely. Number 6, Paddington.
I mean, what more can we say? It's fantastic. Is there anything more we can say? Do we need to say anything more?
Stuart, do you want to chime in?
I could do with a marmalade sandwich, though, if anybody's got one going.
It's just because you've not seen it?
I've not seen it, no.
And could it be the fact that it's a British film that you've not seen?
It's a British film. Of course I've not seen it. No, I had this conversation last week with Stu as well. I spend most of my time watching films that never even make it into the chart because nobody sees them. It's very annoying.
Have you ever thought about maybe slightly stopping your British thing, considering that you've probably never seen a British film, haven't seen a British film in the last month?
I've seen loads of British films. I wish I had a list next to me that I've seen, but I've seen so many, but unfortunately none of them get distributed wide enough to end up in the charts.
Have you seen Hyena?
I am watching that in the next couple of days because it's out in July on DVD, so I've got that queued up. I've got Kingsman queued up. We've got a lot of British films lined up, but none of them are out yet, and the rest of them are really small indie films.
I think then the next time when you're on the show, we'll get the entire top 100 chart and see out of them how many you might have seen.
Earlier on, I was talking to Andy earlier on. I said, "Are you going to be on tonight's show?" And he went, "To be honest, I've not seen that much." I'm like, "Seriously, neither have I for the past 3 weeks. Don't worry about it."
And there's me worried because the fact that I have seen everything is just I had to make sure that I saw everything just in case.
Exactly.
At number 5 is Pitch Perfect.
Aka Perfect? Sorry.
No, not Aka Perfect. Aka Good.
I really enjoyed it. It's a film that I was not expecting to, let alone like, even, but I enjoyed it, got into it, had fun, and it's the kind of thing that would normally be really cheesy and I wouldn't like, and I found myself really getting into it. It's in the chart for obvious reasons, the Pitch Perfect 2 being out in the cinema, but I had nothing bad to say about this film. I quite like it. I'm fine with it.
Number 4 is a new one, Foxcatcher,
which I like, but I have reservations about it. It's not, I don't think, the best thing everyone was making it out to be. I think the pacing of it is certainly off. It's got a problem with pacing, that it's far too long. I think it does have great performances in there from Channing Tatum, Mark Ruffalo, and Steve
Carell.
Yes, thank you. In a role that he's just disappears into the role completely. Thanks largely to the prosthetic makeup he's wearing, but I think he's brilliant in it. But the problem is that it's one of those films where you're watching it, you get to the end of it, and you go, well, that was good, but I didn't need all this, and this, and you kind of start going back over in your head thinking, well, that didn't need to be there, that didn't, and you kind of find yourself just kind of nitpicking at parts of it, which is a problem, I think, because it's an unnecessarily long film, like my review of it.
Yeah, I don't go over to Stuart because I have a feeling the kind of answer I'm going to get off him. So number 3, The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies.
It's the last one, thankfully. I mean, I like the Hobbit films. I enjoy this, but it's more obvious if you hadn't figured it out by this point, watching the Hobbit films. Here's the lineup of you have the wide shot, the close-up shot, the sweeping vista, shot, the camera going overhead, flowing shot, and then all those rinse, repeat again, and it's thankfully an end to The Hobbit, and that's fine, but it didn't need to be.
Can I just say my friend Chris Riley actually does the voice of one of the dwarf lieutenants in that movie, so yay, he does.
The dwarf lieutenants.
He plays a dwarf lieutenant in that.
So does that mean you will not criticise it and badmouth it then?
Oh no, I didn't bother going to watch the film. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. I think they're amazing. I watched The Hobbit at the cinema. I'm like, really? Okay. I watched the second one, which was better than the first one. I had no inclination to go and watch this third one. I'll watch
The
it when
third
it hits Netflix or something, and obviously just go yay when the Dwarf Lieutenant pops up.
It's not to say the third one is terrible, because it's not. It's just that it is the thing of diminishing returns by the time you get to the sixth film of something. But I mean, it's everyone said it, and I'll say it again. The whole thing of I love the Lord of the Rings. I like The Hobbit.
Yep.
I love the Lord of the Rings. I sort of had to watch The Hobbit. It is, yeah. I didn't think they were good at all. I thought they were disappointing.
I'm kind of looking forward to the extended edition getting released of that.
Oh God, no!
I haven't got the theatrical versions of the Hobbit films. I've got the extended versions of them, and I like them because they do add a bit more in there. And apparently, there's quite a lot cut out for this one. So
no,
20
I'm
minutes.
Surprised.
20 minutes.
I think it's more than that, isn't it?
No, it's 20 minutes. It just feels like an hour.
But I want to see, because there's some things in it. The film did feel like it was missing something, and I hope that's going to be in those extra minutes that are put in.
Practical effects.
It's just Smaug sitting on his gold, going 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, there I've miscounted again. 1, 2, 3, and it's just him for 20 minutes counting his gold.
It's actually a scene where a dwarf starts to tell a story, and Peter Jackson makes a cameo and cuts it into 5 pieces and makes an even longer story.
Yeah, and they have a cup of tea and a slice of cake or something.
I was going to make a cash for gold joke there, but I won't bother.
Yeah, number 2 then, The Theory of Everything,
which I really liked, but it does have a similar kind of thing. I think of that it's a film that definitely wouldn't be as good without the performance in it again, like Imitation Game of Eddie Redmayne this time around, doing a fantastic performance, not only in his acting, his emotional performance, but also his physical performance as the film progresses on. And I think though that there is a problem with it, and not in that the film itself is a problem, but the book it's based on, because it is a book that's written by his wife, and it's based on the thing on that. So it's a kind of, it's telling the story from one side. We're not getting, I don't believe, the true story in it, which I would have liked to be. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of it from the other perspective, or the both perspective, it not the sort of one-sidedness of it. But I like it. I think it's a good film. I think it definitely was worthy of Oscar nominations that it got, and it's one that Stuart should see if he hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah. Is Eddie Redmayne as good in this as he was in Jupiter Ascending?
He is fantastic in this, and you forgive him for Jupiter Ascending.
No, nobody can forgive him for Jupiter Ascending. Not somebody who just. I know what I'm doing. No, he doesn't have a clue what the hell he's doing in that film. When you're in a film with a dog and bees and stuff like that, the humans were responsible for killing the dinosaurs. Yeah, wait until we get back to reviewing that movie again. Whoopee. And at number 1 is a new entry for Into the Woods,
which I actually think is one of my least favourite films of the year, because it's poorly put together, it's poorly executed. The performances of pretty much everyone, including Meryl Streep in it, are not in the sort of range of good. Even Meryl Streep, as I say, is not great in it. She's in there and she's doing what she loves to do, but it just feels hollow. And the thing of it is as well, it's a musical. If you think back to any kind of musical, you think, oh, you get a song in your head straight away. Completely forgettable in this. I don't remember a single one of the songs. I don't remember any of the bits in it and thinking, oh, I really love that, or anything. There's nothing in it really that stood out to it that made it any better than a TV movie.
Yeah, trust me when I say this won't make my top 10 worst films of the year, because I have seen 10 more worse films than this. Hint, hint, there was a movie I watched at the weekend, which is definitely my number 1 worst film of the year, and it involves a centipede and a number 3. But
I've watched that.
Yeah, I've seen The Human Centipede 3. But yeah, Into the Woods is not very good at all. It has an opening musical number which lasts for about the length of the entire 3 Hobbit movies, and it definitely feels like that, and has appearance by Johnny Depp, who plays the big bad wolf, who looks like he's come shambling in from the Pirates of the Caribbean set, even though that's been shot in Australia, but he's decided to come back over to America because troubles that is happening with his wife on that, and so that's stopped shooting now. So it's just a mess of a movie that finishes supposedly 20 minutes before it's supposed to, and then it has another half an hour to go. So it's a bit of a boring movie.
it's a film that is, you have that thing that's been said to someone, I can't remember who it was, but they said, I've made a bad movie. No, you haven't. You've made a really average movie that's so bad that it's not even memorable. That's what this is. It's a film that is that bad it's not even memorable. It's not that bad that you go, oh my god, that was terrible, and it sticks out in your memory. This is so droll that it's just forgettable.
It's going to be one of those movies when I do look over my lists at the end of the year to come up with my top 10 best and worst. I'll look at it and go, it's just a sigh.
Yeah, let's get on though with our first first DVD release this week, which is Big Hero 6. It is the Disney animation of, I think it's actually a Marvel comic. But it's not been done by Marvel. It is being done by Disney's animation department, the CGI sort of like Pixar. It's directed by Don Hall and Chris Williams, and it follows around the main character of Hero, voiced by Ryan Potter, who is at the start of the film. It's not a spoiler because it is early on in the film. We find out that his older brother has died. He's there, sort of dealing with all that happening afterwards when he finds this machine that's been built by his brother, who was sort of building this kind of a medic assist robot called Baymax. He ends up sort of finding out this robot that he's got there, which is kind of it wants to comfort him and help him and everything. He finds though that there are other uses that he can make of this robot, considering that there is this sort of weird sort of supervillain going around using these nanites technology that Hero himself has previously created. So he decides that what they're going to do is go out and try and stop this supervillain from doing his evil deeds, including certain things that it means he has to sort of sneak out and about, including sort of avoiding his aunt when he comes back one night. Unfortunately, when he does this, at the same time, Baymax is running low on power, so there's a risk that they may be discovered. Here's a clip.
My aunt asks, we were at school all day. Got it.
We jumped out a window.
No, it's quiet.
Shh, we jumped out a window.
You can't say things like that around Aunt Cass.
Shh.
Hero? You home, sweetie?
That's right.
I thought I heard you. Hi.
Hey, Aunt Cass.
Oh, look at my little college man. I can't wait to hear all about it. Oh, and wings are almost ready.
Whee!
Will you be quiet?
Yeah, wings. All right, get ready to have your face melted. We are gonna feel these things tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Okay, sit down. Tell me everything.
So here's the thing with Big Hero 6. It is the typical kind of Disney animation thing you get. It has got some fantastic looking animation, and it's got some fun story and some fun scenes, and it's a really, really enjoyable film, and it's much more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. I had a ball with it. I really, really loved it. I will even go as far as to admit and say that it brought a tear to my eye at one point, and a couple of points in it, and it's actually quite an emotional film as well. So it's a beautifully done animation film. It definitely is up there with the high level animations that have been recently, but it's above it because it has good story, good characters, and a lot of humour, as you probably heard in that scene there.
It's not up there with Disney's best because I just feel like the end 20 minutes copped out a little bit too much. It just feels too much like a Marvel superhero movie. But it is what Disney are brilliant at doing. They are brilliant at creating something brand new. You look at this, you look at Frozen as well, and creating a brand new character, and instantly people get attracted to that character. In this case, Baymax. They are able to infuse humour and humility and just everything that you would normally expect in a human being, a really decent human being, into characters like this. And Baymax is the standout of the film. That clip there that you played and then leads on to the funniest line that Baymax has in the entirety of the movie, where he strokes the cat and he says, "Hairy baby." That cracks me up. I've seen the film 3 times, and each time that bit there cracks me up because it's Disney. They know how to do that. I just felt the last little part was a bit lacking.
I didn't have a problem with that. I mean, I get where you're coming from, thinking that it's very Marvel and superhero-y towards the end, but I didn't have a problem with that. I thought it was kind of like an alternative Marvel film. It's not the typical Marvel. It is I mean, the animation is fantastic, and it's definitely up there levels-wise, animation-wise, because it's the same studio and people that did things like Wreck-It Ralph in particular. The animation level of that is very, very good, and this is up to that level.
Yeah, I'm guessing, Stuart, you've not seen it.
Nope. If The Incredibles had a fight with Big Hero 6, which film wins?
Incredibles.
Ooh, the Incredibles would have a fight with Big Hero 6 and then team up to take on something bigger.
Yeah, which is the diplomatic answer, and so well done for doing that. But I would say The Incredibles is the better of the two films. But I think Big Hero 6 has it slightly on the humour side.
I think Incredibles has a lot more fun with the whole Mickey taking of superhero genre. It has a lot more references and jokes to things that it references, old style TV, old style sort of TV heroes, Wonder Woman, that kind of thing, and that kind of thing. It's got lots of sort of in jokes to it more than I think Big Hero 6 does.
Yeah, whereas Big Hero 6, you look at Big Hero 6 and it's more for the people who were big fans of the superhero genre, because there is one character who's obsessed with comic books and that kind of collectibles. He has a huge, massive room with loads of models and comic books and comic book characters in it. So it's very much like that in the last 25, 30 minutes of the film.
And is Baymax as lovable as everybody seems to be making out?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yes, because you just want a proper huge massive real Baymax for when he heats up in that scene where he's hugged Tadashi and trying to dry him off, and then all of a sudden every one of them hugs him. He's like a big huge massive warm marshmallow. Just imagine having that kind of thing on a rainy day. You've come in from work, you've had a horrible time. He walks up to you and gives you that warm hug. It would even make a person like me's heart beat, considering how dark and black it is.
He must be lovable then.
Well, let's see how your dark and black heart handles the next film then, shall we?
Yes, I'm evil. Wild, directed by Jean-Marc Valliere, it stars Reese Witherspoon and centres on her character who she plays, Cheryl. And you find out that she's had a bit of a disillusioned life. Her marriage has gone downhill, her mother's died, and so she decides to come up with this interesting idea where she's going to trek 1,000 miles across the United States, specifically the Pacific Crest Trail, and try to come to terms with her life, try to find some meaning with her life. Here's a clip which is her sort of like coming to more terms of her life.
I have only another 300 miles left to walk. I'm desperate for it to be over. But I'm terrified too. When I'm done, I'll only have 2 dimes to my name. But I'll have to start living. I'm nowhere near ready.
And so the thing with Wild is that it is one of those movies where it hinges all on the main actress. In this case, it's Reese Witherspoon, and she handles it brilliantly. Her character has got a lot of interest behind her, and the way they tell the story is very interesting. I just think looking back on her life and when it does the flashbacks with some of the stuff that she's done, I think they could have easily cut that out of the movie, and the movie could have easily been worked as a 12-year and had a bit more of a wider audience than it got. So it's an interesting movie, very well acted, not just by Reese Witherspoon, but also by Laura Dern, who she's brilliant in anything that she's in anywhere. But it is a movie that some scenes could have easily been snipped out of, and it could have been there for a more wider audience to see Reese Witherspoon just acting rather than just doing some of the stuff that she does.
I will say this about I was going to mention, if you hadn't mentioned Laura Dern, because I think it's really nice to see her in it, and I think she actually, in some scenes, because they don't have a lot of scenes together because it's sort of flashbacks and such, but I think in a lot of time the scenes that she's in it, she steals the scenes of the film, and I think she didn't get a recognition that she deserved for it, because she does have a smaller but supporting role, but she doesn't get the recognition that I think she does deserve for it. I think the one thing I do love about this film is the narrative style, that it's out of order, it's not sequential, and when there are flashbacks to things that happen, the flashbacks aren't all in order, the flashbacks are jumbled. It's very much like when you have a thought of something, it makes you think of something else, and you think of something, and the connections that your mind makes. This film is very fluid but broken in that way, but very perfectly, cleverly done, and that it keeps that kind of mental momentum going. And I think it's the editing in particular as well, and that does a very good job of kind of showing how a person's mind is working as you're watching the film.
It does work perfectly, because near the beginning I agree with what you said, Stu, where you could have got away with cutting some of the graphic scenes out to lower the certificate. However, I think the film benefited from showing them, because it shows you just how messed up her life was, that caused her to think, I'm going to walk 1,200 miles. Proclaimers? Yeah, right, that's like two and a half times a Proclaimers song. And with you mentioning the memory thing, Andy, that is exactly how the memories work, isn't it? So you would just be watching the film and she's walking up a hill, and then you would get a flash of something, and that's exactly how your own memory works. You're like, I remember when, bang. And it sort of throws you a little bit when you're watching the film, because I'm not used to watching films like that, but it did work.
That's the thing, though. You don't need to actually show what's happened in her life. She can just explain it and get away with it doing it that way, rather than just showing it. You don't need to see the graphic nature of some of this stuff.
But explain it to who? Because the majority of the film...
Well, she could have had a conversation with somebody. There are times in the film where you do see her speak to other people. When she's at these camps, these camps that are sandwiched in between the areas where she's walking to, it could have just been a story where she's able to steer off for it at night, which there are scenes where she does that, where she sits around campfires and has conversations with people. That's where you could have found out a better, where she tells some of her life, and so it could have just been handled that way.
Would she really confess, I remember this time with these two guys round the back of my workplace? Or could you just show that flash scene?
It just all depends, because it's the kind of thing that you could just allude to when you're having a conversation on a campfire, because what else have you got to entertain? Or what else have you got to do? You do have conversations, and then all of a sudden it could be one of those conversations where she might start allude to at one of the camps, and then comes across the person who she might have met a little bit later on down the line, again, who's maybe caught up with her or following the same or similar route, and explain it in detail there as well. You don't need to see it all the time to know what happened in her life previously that's made her to do this. But that's just a minor... It's just a minor problem, though, of the film that doesn't take away from the movie at all. The movie is interesting enough. It's, even though Andrew, the way he's explained the movie where it's stitched together, it sounds very complex when it's not. It's a very simple film to follow, which takes a lot to do that when you do put things out of order. It sometimes can be a bit muddled and really difficult to actually stick with it. Whereas this movie, you don't need to overly concentrate on it to follow the story of her. You just can follow the story. My other big gripe of the movie, though, is the fact that it's too long. It could have been shorter.
I think if it had been done the way you said it, Stuart, I think it would have lessened the emotional impact that those scenes have on you when you're watching it. So you get into the character's head more than you do just having them tell something to actually see it. When they're remembering it, so I think that's actually something that ties in with the next film as well, because I have an issue that I'll talk about after we've done the main review of it, but it's to do with the way of flashbacks and stuff. I think it works very well in this film.
Next film, and this is all down to you, Stuart. Then.
Yep. Stuart. He's gone silent. He's avoiding the interview. He's avoiding the review.
No, I was leaning on my mute button on my mic. So I just think it's really nice. I mean, finishing up on Wild, Reese Witherspoon was awesome in it. This is she keeps headed down this direction. Then awesome. Next film, Testament of Youth. It is a British film. It is a film that I've seen. Thank you very much.
Well done. One British film, which is in the sort of like going to be in the top 10 next week. Congratulations. Give yourself a pat on the back.
I have done all day long. I thought it was an American film, that's why I watched it. No, I'm just kidding. I knew it was a British film. Out today on Blu-ray and DVD. This reminds me of something that you said, Andy, when you were talking about the Imitation Game, where it's a biopic, but it's not. This film focuses on 4 years, in which a 4-year period on a real-life woman called Vera Brittain. She was born in 1893. I looked that up just to see. And it is about her life and the people around her during the build-up and the run-up and all the way through World War One. It reminded me a lot of Atonement and The English Patient. So I think if anybody likes Atonement and The English Patient, chances are you're going to like Testament of Youth. Do you want to hear a really funny thing? I'd had the film on for about an hour, and I said to Annette, I've not seen Kit Harington yet. But he'd been in it.
Yeah.
But because I'd never, ever seen the guy with short hair and no beard, I didn't recognise him. And then obviously when she's like, what do you mean you've not seen him? That's him. I'm like, oh yeah, so it is. But he's barely recognisable without a beard and short hair. And it's pretty much just, it's the sort of film that I think everybody should watch because it educates them. You don't come away from Testament of Youth thinking, my God, that film was fantastic. I feel so happy and entertained. It is a pure drama film. What's the name of it? Is it Alicia Vikander?
Yeah.
I'd not heard of her before I watched Testament of Youth. I've probably seen a lot of films with her in, but I was not familiar with her name. And now, of course, her name's everywhere, and she's got all these roles coming up. She's amazing in the film. Originally, they were casting Saoirse Ronan, but she had to leave. And I think the film benefits from not having Saoirse Ronan in it. I am a fan of hers, but I think if I'd have been watching Testament of Youth, I would have seen Saoirse Ronan playing a role. Whereas in this, I wasn't familiar with Miss Vikander, so therefore I got so into the character. I started off not liking her at the beginning because you think because it is a little bit Pride and Prejudice-y at the beginning, but then it sort of goes into the character building and the whole sort of war build-up. And I loved this film. Annette had a little bit of a cry at several points. I had to sort of lower my voice there because she might hear me and punch me in the face for announcing it on the podcast. But this was an awesome film. Andy, what problems did you have with this one?
I didn't so much have problems with it as I will go into that in a minute. But we've got a clip here. So we'll just play that just now. It's a clip of there's a scene where Alicia Vikander's character and Kit Harington's character are kind of on a date, as it was back then. They were kind of allowed to be out and go somewhere, but they had to have a minder with them to sort of make sure that it was proper and nothing improper happened and such. And so they're on a sort of a thing where they kind of plan and skew and manage to get away from their minder very quickly for a moment. And we'll just play that clip just now.
The auntie.
I think we lost her.
We've been very bad, you know. We're going to get a terrible report.
Mother won't be surprised. She thinks she has a very odd daughter.
Not odd, just interesting.
I've never known Brian fit.
Does it need to be a place?
Well, I don't know what to say to the pair of you. No, really, I don't. My feet are hurting. We'd better call it a day. Newspaper.
Countdown of all.
So I will say this: I enjoyed the film, but I did feel, especially given the fact that it's based on Vera Brittain's autobiography. But her autobiography, I don't know for sure, but I'm presuming that her autobiography spans a lot more longer period than that, considering that she was born in the late 1800s and died in 1970.
Yeah, I mean, they sort of say it's based on her memoirs.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a lot of the war stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it has become a thing because it's the whole thing of telling the story of what happened or what went on with women during the war, which is a story that hasn't really been focused on and told that much. So it's a good thing about that. But the thing I have with it is that for it being only based on a small period of her life, it is far too long. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes long. I don't think it should have even actually managed to get to 2 hours long. I think especially at the start of it, there is a lot of excess. As much as there is some things that are important there with her and her friends and her brother, and them all sort of growing up a little bit, and the whole thing of her having to fight with her father to get into Oxford where she wants to go to be schooled, and then her leaving that to go and join the war effort and be a nurse. There are things there which are important, but a lot of extra things there which I felt were unnecessary. And there is, as much as there is important to have things set up for the characters, there's some things in there which just felt extremely excess to me. At the very start of it, I was kind of going, I really hope the film isn't like this the rest of the way through. And gladly it's not, because then it does pick up. And I don't mean it gets action or anything like that. It's not that kind of film. But it gets more. You start to get more emotionally invested with it when you see what she's going through, what she's doing, and things she's experiencing. I think that because it starts off as a kind of it has a film where it starts off for this one thing, and the whole film is a flashback sort of a thing to the end of it. And I felt that I wish they had done that, but broken it up into flashbacks of, this flashback for a while, then go to, and then come back to, what is the present in the film, and then do flashbacks. Well, I think that would have helped it with the pacing. I think it should have been a lot more like you have in Wild, not necessarily as chaotic and chopped up as it is in Wild, but I think that kind of if you had had those segments at the start of it where she's there with her brother and her friends. All of that, if that had been shown with her as a nurse, and every time she had something that happened, you then cut to a flashback sequence of that, I think it would have made it a lot more powerful and endearing film. But I think that it is very good for what it is. I do, as I say, just wish it was a bit more organised in its structure. But the thing that's amazed me is that how many familiar faces I saw in it, and I recognise you've got Taron Egerton, who you've not seen yet, but you haven't seen Kingsman yet, have you, Stuart?
No, not yet. That's going to get watched it's out on digital today, is Kingsman, but I'm going to watch it just before the DVD release.
And the thing is, I had only seen him in that before. I hadn't seen him in anything else before, and he's in this as well. He plays her brother, and it's a complete transformation. I saw him in Kingsman, and I thought, I had no idea what he's like. But it kind of shows him up for being a really good actor as he is. You have in there Colin Morgan, who a lot of people will recognise as from the TV series Merlin. You have Emily Watson plays Mrs. Britton, her mother. You have Dominic West.
Yep.
Yeah, Dominic West is in there as her father. He's playing a very sort of small and typical kind of role, but it adds a little bit more credibility to him having these people in there. And what would a British movie be without the presence of Miranda Richardson?
Exactly.
So I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I just think it has these niggling things in it which I think were some bad choices on the people involved making it. But not taking away from it, I think that it's really good. And the thing that's surprising is Alicia Vikander is from Sweden. She's not English, but she's perfectly good at doing her accent, English accent, and being English in this film.
I've put this in my top 10 films of the year, so that's now on my list. Stu, what did you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, you're probably going to forget about me, considering that I've seen the film as well. I reviewed it in the cinema. Just to quickly touch on the Taron Egerton thing, you'll have seen him in this before Kingsman, because Kingsman was released after this, a couple of weeks after this, as a matter of fact. So you'll have seen him in that technically
I didn't
before.
See this, so that's why for me, having seen things, I'd seen Kingsman, but I hadn't seen this until now.
But yeah, because I saw this in the cinema, it was in a pretty small screen, and it's the kind of audience that you hope to go and see a film with. It's the kind of audience that want to watch the film rather than speak to the person beside them going, oh, what's going to happen in this scene? Do you think that's going to happen in this scene? Exactly like what happened when I went to see Poltergeist. There was two people sitting across from me, and they were constantly explaining the movie to each other. I just felt like I wanted to get up and smack them across the face saying, shut up. With this kind of movie, it is that kind of thing where people are relaxed to watch the movie, and that's what helped me with its running time. I didn't feel like the running time of the film was way too long, because the environment that I watched it in made me feel like I was It's not like back home in the late 80s with me parents on a Sunday afternoon being forced to watch things like Little House on the Prairie or Darling Buds of Mere, and it just had that kind of atmosphere, and it feels like that kind of thing. It feels like a Darling Buds of Mere in the first like half an hour, 45 minutes, setting up her Alicia Vikander's character, and you getting to know her life, rather than just the kind of thing that she wants to go to college in Oxford or become the nurse and go on the front line and try to discover her brother. It's nice to actually have that setup, and so I wasn't bothered about the setup of the film at all. I felt like it eased you nicely into the movie. It introduced you to each one of the characters properly as well. It gave you the reason why her brother decides to go off to war, even though it's only alluded to at times. And when she actually finally releases the news to her brother that she's got into where she wants to go, it's nice to see those kind of set-up scenes. And so I thought the film is very much like a Sunday kind of TV movie, but I think it works really well because the acting is so strong, and it's nice to look at. It's got some beautiful vistas. There's a few scenes on the beaches which are really nicely handled. And then you've got the alternate side of that, the grimy, nasty side of when she does become a nurse, helping the wounded, and you do see the reams of dead bodies and things like that. And so you get the juxtaposition of both sides of it without properly showing the war. And it's an interesting way to handle a film like that.
Exactly, because there's no like major battle scenes. This isn't Saving Private Ryan by any means. This is more like Atonement. In fact, I think there's probably less battle scenes in this one than there was in Atonement, but it has that sort of feel to it where it is sort of setting all the character up. And I think the film needed that setup at the beginning, because we had a woman who knew exactly where she wanted to be. She wanted to go to Oxford. She wanted to be a strong woman, and everybody gets set up, and in real life, World War I just washes over everybody and changes everybody's plans.
Yeah, in that kind of thing, you don't see a female character acting that strong. It's normally just you see the female character going off to buy food for when the husbands come home or when the father comes home. That's the only parts that you do normally see in that kind of thing. And so it was nice and refreshing to see a stronger woman. And so you don't mind them exploring that story more.
Okay, moving on to our last DVD Blu-ray release this week. Spring.
It's directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, and it's a very like I said with A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. This is it's got horror undertones, and it centers around the character of Evan, who's played by Lou Taylor Pucci, and he decides to move away from the United States because he's in trouble there, and he wants a new, fresh life. And so he moves over to Italy, where he befriends a woman in the form of Nadia Heike's character, who plays Louise. And at the start, she's reluctant to go out with him. It is that tete-a-tete kind of thing where it's back and forth. He's interested in her. She doesn't show that much interest in him. And then all of a sudden, they become friends and something a little bit more. However, she holds a really interesting secret. And that's the thing about Spring. The secret is the thing that you should not actually hunt down or watch a trailer to find out about it or anything like that. You need to go into this movie fresh, because the secret is different. It's something you don't normally see in this kind of movie, and that's where the horror undertones lie. And for me, the film plays out brilliantly because of the secret and because of the fact that I went into the movie, watched the trailer, I knew there was something going to happen, but I wasn't sure what it was going to be. And when that does happen, you just go, what? And then it changes the whole tone of the movie. And so it shifts a little bit, and it's still about the relationship between both characters, but it's how the male character comes to terms with the secret that the person who he's actually fallen in love with. And so it's a romantic story, it's a romantic drama, but with that horror undertone there, which I think fits perfectly into the film. It's a really interesting movie. It's released in very limited runs at the cinema, and you'll find it, I think, on the BFI Player. So watch it on there. It's only like £3.50 on the BFI Player. So watch it on there if you haven't got a cinema that's showing it, because it is a very interesting take on a horror movie.
Any comments on that, Stuart?
He's hit the mute button again.
He's hit the mute button again.
None at all. I haven't seen that one. I did try and watch it, but no, I haven't. I've not hit the mute button again. I'm here. Nope, I haven't seen that one.
Okay. Well, that's it for this week's show. Thank you both and myself for being here.
Well done to thank yourself there. That's a genius idea. I think I'll pat myself on the back because over the last few weeks I haven't been here, but I've managed to turn up today, so well done me.
Yeah. You can find us, listening to us anywhere if you're not listening
Stu's
to us
actually
live.
watched every single film.
He has. Applause to him.
I wish I could swear right now, but I'm not going to.
Do it on Sunday, Stu.
I will
on the horror show.
You're going to have to bleep some of it out because I'm going to have to release all of it on that.
Do it.
Anyone who's listening to us, though, not live on Spreaker, you can always find us, as you know, on mondaymovieshow.co.uk. You can find us on Twitter at Monday Movie Show. Stuart is on there at Cryptic Tadpole. The other Stuart is on there at From Page to Screen. I'm on there at AHDVD. You can find us also on facebook.com/Monday Movie Show. And you can find us on everywhere else, iTunes, Podkicker and everything. Just as Stuart said, you can find From Page to Screen as well. Stuart, where can they find you?
Me, or the other one, me?
You.
They can find me everywhere.
I'm going to have to find some way of differentiating you two, though. But yeah,
Stu
and
Stuart. It's not difficult, Andy. Stu and Stuart. There you go. That's what we do on the horror show. Nobody's ever had a problem with that one. No. Oh, no. And
I definitely don't think you're going to be invited back.
No. Okay, and Stu,
and you can
where
find
can
me.
People find you? Yes.
People can find me on Andy's block list on Twitter. If you have a look for me there, and on the banned list from the Monday Movie Show. Now, if you do a search on Twitter at From Page to Screen, or go to FromPageToScreen.com, that's the number 2, not the word 2. But you'll generally find me on Twitter, just pimping myself out, trying to raise funds. While I've been on this wonderful Monday Movie Show, I've now hit 49% funded, so I'm getting.
We've got him 2%.
You did.
Well, actually, we've gotten him 49% because he kicked off his Indiegogo kind of thing technically on the show last week.
I did.
So we're responsible for 49% of his stuff. So we expect 49% of something from you.
Yeah, respect. Maybe.
But let's hope it's not like an animal. I don't want to see a half of an animal turn up on my doorstep or something like that.
I could send you a bunch of online screener links if you want. Got a lot of them.
That might do.
There you go.
Before we finish out the show and do movie of the week, TV movies of the week. Do both of you have any, or just one of you have?
I've got one.
You've got one.
Yeah, I've got two.
What's your TV movie of the week then?
Mine is on Film 4 on Friday, and is the wonderful British film that is really, really funny, and it's East is East. It's on at 9 p.m. on Film 4.
That is actually a really good film. I'd not seen that for a long time, but I actually saw that at the cinema back when it came out, and it was a good film.
Good man.
Stu?
And British.
Yes.
Me.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got two. The first one, they're both actually on Sunday.
We might have the same one then for one of them, I think.
I doubt it. The first one's on Sunday on Film 4 at 3:10 in the afternoon. It's the fantastic animated film A Monster in Paris. It's a pity that it's shown in the afternoon because it's not going to be the French language one with the English subtitles. But I love this movie. It's got a very... It sort of like feels a lot like an old Disney movie, A Monster in Paris, and it's got a few nice musical numbers. It's sweet. It's got hints of Belleville Rendezvous or The Sisters of Belleville. Movies like the French, they have a unique art style when it comes to their animated films, and A Monster in Paris is definitely one of them. I was hoping that it would have done so well in the cinema and on DVD, and a lot of kids would have latched onto it, but that wasn't the case. But I highly recommend people watching it. And my other one is on BBC One on Sunday the 31st at 11:15 at night. It's Buried, the Ryan Reynolds film where he spends most of the time just in a coffin. I loved it. It's a very claustrophobic movie, and it definitely makes you feel that claustrophobic feel. And when you set a movie in one area, it's a really hard thing to do. And there was movies that tried to copy that. There's a movie with Brad Dourif in it called Stephen Dorff, in it called Break, where he's locked in the boot of a car, and it's terrible, that movie, because it doesn't handle it very well. This one, it handles it brilliantly, and it's all down to Ryan Reynolds.
I'm just going to mention a film that I think Stuart has said about before. Straight Heads is on.
Hey!
On E4, on Film 4.
Stu and I often talk about this film.
Yeah.
I hate that movie.
I just noticed it's on there. It's on Film 4 at on Friday the 29th of May and that's Friday night, Saturday morning, 2:20 a.m. in the morning.
The reason why it's on that late or that early is because it knows that it's not going to get anybody to watch it at all because it's a big pile of steaming.
Fantastic. It's a great film. Danny Dyer, not a main Danny Dyer film, though he takes sort of the sidekick role, and it's mainly Gillian Anderson, and it's a bit of a revenge film. It is brutal in a violent way. Stu secretly loves it.
My two TV movies of the week, just before that at 12:45 a.m. So 12:45 Friday night, Saturday morning, on Film 4 before Straight Heads is Cloverfield, which is a film that I do really love, and it's a great sort of twist on the whole found footage thing. And rounding out TV movies of the week on Sunday the 31st of May at 9 o'clock on Film 4 is Byzantium.
Good choices.
I call it the alternative vampire movie because it's not really a vampire movie, but it is kind of. You'll understand when you see it if you don't know already. So that's it for this week. As I said already, thank you for listening. Movie of the week.
Testament of Youth for me.
Oh God.
Can I pick Mad Max again?
No.
Because it's awesome.
I would have to go cinema-wise. A Girl Walks Home Alone at night, but very few places are going to be showing it. So I would probably just say Big Hero 6.
Okay, well, I'm going to say Tomorrowland. Even though I've only seen one cinema film this week, I'm actually quite happy to say Tomorrowland as my movie of the week because I did really enjoy it. So that's it for this week's Monday Movie Show. Thank you for listening. We're going to play you out with a clip of a film which is upcoming, and it's questionable when it's going to get released here because it looks like it may be a bit way off. But
I had the release date. I will find it again because I stupidly got rid of the release date. I think it's July 15th.
It's Inside Out.
It is the new Disney animation Inside Out. Or is it Pixar or Disney? I can't remember now.
Pixar.
It's Pixar.
24th of July, it's out.
24th of July.
Inside Out, yeah.
But we're going to leave you with a clip of that. So until next week, bye-bye.
Bye.
Before I go, actually, I will say, because I haven't said it, I haven't had a chance to say, thank you to Stuart for filling in when I've
You're
been
welcome.
available. Not you.
And Stu's like, Andy, thank you for coming back.
No, when are you on holiday next?
He means me.
Both.
But, this is a clip for the upcoming Inside Out. Until next week, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Here we go. All right, open.
This looks new.
Think it's safe?
What is it?
Okay, caution. There is a dangerous smell, people. Hold on, what is that?
This is disgust. She basically keeps Riley from being poisoned, physically and socially.
That is not brightly colored or shaped like a dinosaur. Hold on, guys. It's broccoli! Yucky! Well, I just saved our lives. Yeah, you're welcome.
Riley, if you don't eat your dinner, you're not going to get any dessert.
Wait, did he just say we couldn't have dessert?
That's anger. He cares very deeply about things being fair.
So that's how you want to play it, old man? No dessert? Oh, sure. We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this.
Riley, here comes an airplane.
Oh, airplane. We got an airplane, everybody.
Airplane.